welcome back everyone, welcome back to your weekly dose, your weekly edition of the Club NVX Duckling Showdown number 5. I'm of course host Live VIP, and with me I'm joined by my lovely plushies, by this amazing duck in the NV jersey, and by the people in the chat as well. Hope you've all had a great time, hope you've all had a great week. And welcome back. Welcome to the Duckling Showdown. For those that are curious for what this even is, this is a partnership between ourselves and Club NV, a Korean team, where we host weekly show matches. Last week, I was unable to take part. I was actually on a plane. I was midair. I couldn't take part in the Duckling Showdown. But big shout out to both Yaku Zaku, Ashibro, and Kuro as well. Sorry, it was Yaku, Chase, and Kuro as well. Asher was actually sick with COVID. Asher could not make it. So a big shout out to Chase, as Chase did fill in last week and was able to bring you that lovely, amazing Korean StarCraft. So here we go. We have our show match of the week, and it's going to be a best of 7, by the way. A best of 7 PvP. All the Protoss, baby, all the Protoss. And if you're in the chat, best of luck. Best of luck, because the predictions are open. Predictions are open. You can place your bets on how you think this PvP will unfold. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Site Delta, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss representing Twisted Minds. It is Classic. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have our Blue Protoss player, our South Korean Protoss representing himself, currently teamless, currently looking for a team. It is NightMare. Here we go again. Last week we had like a Swiss group format with like 6 or so players. We had plenty of players that were available. I think I want to say 8 players in total. It was insane how much content we had for you, how many matches we had for you last week. But this time it's just merely a best of 7. Again, as a reminder for those that are curious, I am Katowice is in 2 days. So a lot of the Koreans are traveling. A lot of the Koreans are currently traveling, currently preparing for travel as well. So here we just have a chill, singular show match here, but still a best of 7 nonetheless. Still plenty of games to be had, plenty of maps to be played out as well. Here we go as we're getting into this, and for the time being we do have a gate expand set up here from both Classic and NightMare. We are loading into Site Delta as game number 1. Site Delta is one of the few maps, one of 2 maps that has a ramp leading into the natural base, so it is very defendable, very much so macro oriented, which is why we can go for these greedier openers. We can see a pylon block across the map. We do delay the expansion for a moment. NightMare will commit, goes for the Nexus. Meanwhile, Classic delays his Nexus with a faster Stargate instead. He did go for a double gas opener, or a faster double gas overall. With that, Classic can go for a faster Oracle and even Void Ray. And there we go. It is going to be the Gate Cyber into the Stargate, followed by the expansion. So NightMare has a slightly faster base, that is true, but Classic has faster Stargate to make up for that. So the purpose of this is for Oracle production, to get across the map, to get some economic damage done, and to even up that worker count. Speaking of, probe does go down in the main base. Likewise, we do have a bit of a skirmish with our pairing of units here across the map. Ooh, NightMare will be losing his Zealots. Meanwhile, NightMare forced to back off, and Classic likewise will do the same as we ease into game number 1. Again, as we ease into this, Classic, he is one of the best Protoss players in all South Korea. He is second best only to Hero, I would say. But specifically in the PvP matchup, that is NightMare's speciality. If you've been tuning in recently, you would have seen that NightMare has beaten Hero back-to-back 2 weeks in a row in ESL Open Cups. NightMare has been the bane of Hero's existence for a couple of weeks now, even a couple of months. Likewise, he's also beaten Creator, he's beaten Classic. NightMare has been popping off from PvP. Can he do it in a best of 7 though? Can he do it again? That is the question. Meanwhile, Oracle gets across the map, is going to be fended off for the time being. NightMare will force Classic back. Is waiting for the second Oracle instead. With 2 Oracles, you can one-shot workers, so we have that much more firepower available. We do have the Zealot going to be distracting the Stalkers. Meanwhile, we also have Stalkers pushing out across the map. Classic doesn't have much at home to defend. He dives on the Stalkers, will focus them down. He gets 1. He will get the second. Meanwhile, across the map, he has very little working for him. He has 1 gateway to work with. Shield battery is focused down. Boys are being pulled. And probes are falling, but across the map, NightMare, he's breaking through. He depowers everything back in the main base. No production. There's nothing left going on right now. We have one Stalker to defend. That is all we have, but we are buying time, and every single probe is going down. 16 workers fall to the Oracles. Finally, we can force them back. NightMare, his economy is in shambles. He has to break through. Stalkers, they take a long time. They take a long time to kill buildings, and we are just buying so much time here for Classic. Warp gate is done, and gateways are getting up and running, and we are warping in some Stalkers. Classic, he is holding, he is defending. He had nothing to defend, but he didn't need anything to defend. He needed a wall. That's all he had. That's all he needed. Reinforcements are on the way. NightMare trying to break through. We have one Stalker left. NightMare so far, the control has been good. And again, he's still behind in the economy, still down in workers. Breaks through another pylon. And again, NightMare, he's so close, but the SimCity is just so awkward to work with. It is so awkward here. Classic back in the main base, of course, has got a third gateway up and running. We can warp in 3 Stalkers at a time. Shield battery is done, overcharge is available, and Classic is holding. He forces back the army. NightMare back at home. Oh god! Trying to recover, but we'll lose even more probes. That's going to be 4 dead workers in the natural, and even more in the main. That's soon to be in the main bases. Yeah, Classic, he's been able to retain his economy, retains his workers. He's on 37 probes, getting towards the Dark Shrine as well. I like this Dark Shrine because NightMare, for the most part, he is focusing on recovering. He's focusing on probing on up, or he's forced into a 2-base all-in. Third gateway is on the way. Second gateway is on the way. Oh my god, I thought it was the Twilight Council on the wall. I thought it was a gateway. Este NightMare. Third gate's on the way, Robo as well. More probes going to be going down at the same time. NightMare forcing his way through the natural. Trying to force his way through. It does end up losing a couple of these Stalkers, though. Again, the shield battery is putting in a lot of work, not allowing anything to die. Not allowing anything to go down. NightMare being forced back. And with that, again, the longer this goes on, the better it is for Classic. He's breaking through his own Stargates. He has an overwhelming Stalker count. He's up a Stalker compared to his opponents, but soon to be up even further. Dark Shrine is finishing. We will have observers, thankfully. Thankfully, observers are going to be out for NightMare, so DTs won't end the game, but again, NightMare, he's still going to be behind. Still struggling to keep up as the first Dark Templar is waddling across the map. Third base is being taken. Classic is just chilling. Dips in with the Oracle. Does confirm there's Stalkers in position. And we have an observer hanging outside of the base. Now, NightMare, he didn't see anything. He hasn't seen the tech, hasn't fully seen the production, hasn't even seen the third base, but soon will. As the Deps do check, they do confirm the third. Likewise, the observer is still parked at the natural base, so NightMare, he's aware that he does need to be safe and sound. Does shut down the DT. Does shut it down. But Classic, again, because of his economic advantage that's now reflected in his army, now he has an abundance of Stalkers. He has plenty to work with. As the armies are missing each other, we could end up in a really weird base trade, but Classic does turn back around. And it comes across the Stalkers. And we'll focus him down as well. NightMare Stalkers were so battered and bruised from earlier. They were already low and they're being knocked down. At the same time, we do recall back home. The Deps, they do shade in. They get a couple of probes. 2 in total, not bad. Two workers do go down. Classic from here, though, he can keep pushing. Third base has been taken, and Classic, he's almost got double the army supply here of NightMare. Oracle does go down. And Classic, he has arrived, with an overwhelming force. He dives on top of the army, blinks on forward, can focus on every single one of these Stalkers. The third base, and even more from here. He doesn't have to turn around, he doesn't have to come back home. There's nothing to stop him. And with the aggressive blink forward, that's going to be it. GG gets called, and Classic will take game number 1. GG. A solid game one there from Classic. Oh. A solid game one as he does take a lead. Again, it was just an unfortunate position for NightMare where he had to go for a counterattack. He had to get some counter damage done, but unfortunately, alas, he could not. So I'm just making the lobby. But yeah, he just couldn't break through the wall. He had a bunch of stalkers, that is true. He had a bunch of stalkers, but he was just chipping away at the wall. He just could not break through, could not break in, couldn't touch the economy of Classic whatsoever. And again, that led into Classic maintaining his lead and extending it as well. Or taking his lead here initially. But that was only game one. And remember, it's a best of 7. We have a best of 7 before us. We have plenty more games to come. Plenty of opportunities to bounce back. Here we go. Catching up. Also, my apologies, but a big shout out to Thriving GG. There was a lot to go over in the intro to the tournament, but a big shout out to Thriving GG as he did give us a raid earlier. Thank you so much. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session. And welcome, everyone. Welcome, of course, to our weekly show match here to the Club NV X Duckling Showdown number 5. Been running this for over a month at this point, and hopefully for many more months to come. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of Hardlead, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the red Protoss representing Twisted Minds. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the blue Protoss player representing himself, currently teamless, currently looking for a team. It is NightMare. Like you're frozen? Oh, if you think I'm frozen, you haven't been here for the past week. Or for the past like 4 days of casting. It's not frozen. That's me, Papi. That's me. Oh no. I'm very excited to be here. As we are going for the probe scout across the map, we're now getting into a much more standard game. Now, what I mean by that is that in the last game, both players went for gate expands into their next side, and we saw that production was limited. The production was not quite available there for NightMare. For NightMare Classic, and things got really chaotic really quickly. Now we have 2 gate openers, something a little more standard. There is no ramp leading into the natural base, which means it isn't really safe to go for a gate expand unless you're max pack, so 2 gate openers all around. We should be getting into our initial 2 units, and we'll see where we go from there. I was live in Poland to watch / enjoy Katowice. Yes, I am in Poland. I made it to Poland a week ago. Less than a week ago. I've been here for like 5 days, 4.5 days, something like that. And so far it's been windy, Pop. It's been a little bit cold, a little bit chilly, but it's been fun. Has been some good fun here. But likewise, we're always here to enjoy some StarCraft, and we do have 2 gate openers. Okay, we have a double adept from both players. Like great minds, they do think alike here. With double adept openers, we're looking to be hyper aggressive. We're looking to be in the face of the opponent. We can double down and go into a 3rd and 4th adept, even a 5th and 6th adept as well. We can just commit, or from here we can go into Stalker production. There it is. 3rd and 4th adept on the way. Meanwhile, NightMare does go into the Stalker. So Classic is doubling down on adept aggression. NightMare, he is pivoting away and getting back into a much more standard composition. Stalkers will keep you safe against oracles, against adepts. They will maintain your position back at home. Adepts, of course, they do clash in the center of the map. They do end up clashing. NightMare, he is on the chase. Meanwhile, across the map, Classic, he has made it. The wall, barely not a wall. NightMare, a little bit slow there to pull the trigger. And he's forced to recall. And we will one-shot workers. 1, 2 probes go down. And Classic already gaining momentum here. We're losing more workers, more mining time, and we do have additional adepts behind this. We're making not just 4 adepts, but we have a 5th and 6th adept on the way as well. Just non-stop adept production from Classic. And NightMare having a hard time keeping up. Did only lose 2 probes, but again, did lose the mining time as well. Both players are expanding. We do see Classic the first to take up into a Twilight Council is on the way. Here we go. We are just, we're doubling down so hard. He was caught off guard. 7 Adepts shading across the map, and with 7 Adepts, the power of this much DPS is that even if a shield battery gets thrown down here on top of the ramp, we can DPS through it. We can actually focus it down, break through the wall, and bust into the mineral line nonetheless. That's why typically you would have to throw down a gateway. You have to throw down a more robust building to survive, and here we go. The Shades are not quite making it in. Oh, we do commit though. Probe does go down, but the wall has been thrown. Yeah, we lay down their gateways. Adepts are being forced back. So far, good defense out of NightMare. He does kill an Adept. He does hold on. Again, killed 3 Adepts in total. Behind this, we are transitioning into Blink. Both players working towards Blink Stalkers. Adepts, they... Oh, we missed! We missed the shade, and we do get into the main base. Essentially, they're being focused on one and then the other, and now we can go for the mineral line. One mistake is sometimes all it takes here. As we are getting out of hand, we're getting out of control. We get 5, 6, 7 probe kills. We're gonna get 8. Not like this. We get 8. We get 9. 10 probes go down. That is an insane amount of damage, and already off of the openers, Classic is in a commanding position. And what's scary is that he's done with the Adepts. He's all done. He's working towards Stalkers instead. He has a robust army. Looking at the units tab, we have 6 Stalkers of the 6 of NightMare. NightMare has to push out, but what can he do? What can he get done? Ideally, his way into this, his way back in, is to outposition his opponent. If he can gain high ground vision with Blink, he can maybe blink into the main. He can maybe avoid the main army and somehow get some economic damage on that way. To be fair, he has his own Adepts. Does have his own Adepts here. Does force out a Blink. Classic is still looking solid. And so far he's keeping up. Behind this we can see NightMare. He's just reprobing, resaturating, trying to catch up, working towards his robo, additional gateways. Classic, instead of investing into his production, he does delay his gateway production, his gateway investments, and heads into a 3rd base instead. So just trying to extend his economic lead. Yeah, the Forge for +1. And the question becomes, NightMare, how hard do we commit here? Do we throw down 2 more gates? Do we go for a 2-base all-in? Or do we try to expand? And it's on NightMare. Meanwhile, Classic back at home, just chilling, +1. Now starting up, he's on 3 gateways. Working on that 3rd. Based on his army positioning, he can always backstab as well in case NightMare does move out, which would complicate things. And the armies, they will clash. Again, Classic, he does have a Stalker lead. He can take a fight. Ooh. He can, he will. He does pick up a couple of Stalkers. Will bleed out a couple as well. Trading 2 for 2. Trading 2 for 2 there as Classic. His 3rd base is getting up and running. NightMare just now working on his own. He is 1 step behind. Just 1 step behind that of Classic. And this is our gateway explosion that we were waiting for. We have 3 gateways already, so it's going to be 8 gates in total, 8 charge. Pretty big commitment there on 3 bases. Shields on the Immortal are triggered. And Classic, he rotates around, he's looking for another way in. I do like the Immortal production here. It's a good way to make up for your Stalker deficit. It's a good way to make up for it. Stalkers are going to be clashing. Force skills do make things a little bit awkward. At the same time, though, we do shade into the natural once again. Adepts, they do get in. 3 more probes go down. Ay, ay, ay. Classic will back off. He's taking a 4th base, just getting further and further ahead. Now, what I will say is that because Classic is leaving this 3rd base alone, NightMare, he can bounce back here. I mentioned before that if we can take up into a different direction, we can maybe have a more efficient fight, whether it's with Immortals, whether it's with Disruptors, even Dark Templar. There are a lot of ways to come back in PvP. Not just that, but you can also outmaneuver your opponents with the help of this Xel'Naga. NightMare, he's aware of the positioning. He does come in. But he's getting caught out. Will bleed out a Stalker. Charge still on the way for NightMare. The problem here is that, again, he's down in upgrades. We have +2 on the way for Classic. Charge is done. We're going for a big warp in, and Classic, he can look to end the game with this army, with this push. Big force fields, though. Oh, Prism almost gets focused down. Yeah, the force fields, they do buy some time here for NightMare. Building up. I think I would have appreciated faster Archon production here and a faster Temple Archives. Unfortunately, that's not here for NightMare. It's already done for Classic. We can get into that. Oh, as that Epsay do shade across the map. They're getting a couple of probe kills. They're forcing a defensive warp in. There we go. Classic, he does push in. We'll be losing his Prism, but he can fight back with his main army. That Immortal is going to town on those Zealots at least. Zealots are going to go down. But Classic, he has the Concave. The defender's advantage for NightMare. Is it going to be enough? Can we hold on? So many Stalkers are falling. Yeah, Classic is taking a dominant fight here. He avoids the shield batteries. Goes for the natural, does drag the army a little bit more out of position. Here come those Zealots. Again, because there's no Warp Prism, it takes a long time for the reinforcements to arrive, but they're coming. Another big wave of Stalkers. Is all on the way. I mean, he's surviving, like, he's holding on. He's still down bases and down in economy, but he's refusing to go down. We have +3 all the way. +3 here for Classic. NightMare now taking his 4th towards the left-hand side. If this goes unscouted, then maybe NightMare can, again, bounce back into this. Still no other high form of tech. NightMare is still stuck on purely Stalkers, unfortunately. Still stuck on a gateway-based army. And the 4th base, it does get found. It will knock it up and running. That's going to be a cancel. Thankfully, not a kill. Classic can soon engage. He dives a little bit of the army. He does focus on so many of these Stalkers. 3, 4, 5, 6 Stalkers go down. Oh my god. Overcharges pop. We can focus them down. Yeah, the shield batteries, they do nothing against this kind of army. There's just too much DPS, too much burst damage. And NightMare, he did well holding on up until this point, but again, he was barely holding on. He wasn't really thriving here. And GG gets called. Classic, he extends his lead 2-0. GG. Again, the power of the Adept here. Classic. Initially, if you remember, the Adepts didn't really do too much, but there was one crucial moment where NightMare did actually miss the shade. His shade was 1 second too late. His shade was 1 second too late, and as a result, we did see Classic get 10 probe kills. That was the moment. That was the moment when Classic got 10 worker kills. That was insane how much economic damage he had dealt. And from that moment, he just held on to that lead. He never let it go. Never did let it go, and from there, he is going to be taking a 2-0 lead in this series. It's a best of 5, of course, best of 7, of course, first to 5. My god, my numbers. Best of 7, first to 4 wins here for our players, so we still have plenty of opportunities to bounce back. I want to believe Again, I was hyping NightMare up earlier. We've been casting a lot of NightMare over the past 2 weeks, and we've been seeing him face off against Hero, against Classic as well, and even against Creator. Every Protoss in Korea has fallen to NightMare, but tonight, he's struggling a little bit, at least in these first 2 games. What I will say is that Hardled did lead to the aggression of Classic. You know, it did lead into how assertive he was in that game, especially with the Glaive Adepts, or sorry, with the regular Adepts. But I want to believe that we can bounce back. I want to believe, Papi. And here we go. Spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have our red Protoss player leading the series 2-0. But again, still plenty more games to come. Representing Twisted Minds, it is Classic. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Protoss player, currently teamless, looking for a team deserving to be on one. It is NightMare. And a big shout out to Rowdy, Papi. It's been so long, Papi. It's been so long. I know that now you're in New South Wales. You're in Sydney, but I'm not in Sydney right now. Smurge, Papi, smurge. But good to see you. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Ga, Papi, ga. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Hope everything is going well. Thank you so much for resubscribing for 6 months, half a year of support, Papi. Half a year. Let's go. Where are you? Oh, I'm in Poland, Papi. I'm in Poland. Katowice. I am, Papi. Yeah, good to see you, Randy. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. As we are getting into our 2 gate openers. 2 gate openers all around for both NightMare and Classic. Probe Scout going to be coming in, just getting an eye on the second pylon, making sure that there is no proxy, making sure that there is no cheese, at least not in the early game between our players. Adept at making adepts? Yeah, very adept. As the pylons have been thrown down in their respective main bases, so there's no proxy. Honestly, proxies haven't been too prevalent in Korean PvP. We've seen a lot of one base all-ins though. We've seen a lot of UP third and a third gateway into a robo into a one base all-in. It's been very common in PvP. I'm curious if we're going to be, I imagine we will be seeing it at some point this series. We haven't seen it yet, but just you wait. As NightMare, he does hold on to his guns here. He is going to be going for a double Adept opener. Once again, 2 games in a row. Meanwhile, Classic is going for something a little bit more conservative as he goes for double Stalker. And as I speak about the double Adept, that's a robo. That is a robo thrown down for NightMare. This is out of the norm. This feels like, oh my god, both players. Oh, we're clowning. Here we go. So it looks like the scouting probe did go down across the map. And it's going to be a one base all in. One base all in versus one base all in. We just spoke about the power and the popularity of this build specifically. Of the one base all in where you go for 3 gateways and the robo as well. Very trendy in the Korean scene. Trendy enough where both players are blindly doing it against each other. They just went. Both players are going to be committing. Now with this, we're going to be working with vanilla gateway units, but we have Immortal production, we have Prisms soon to be on the way to reinforce to juggle units as well. Who has the better execution? I'll be honest, as popular as this build is, I don't think I've seen this exact build face off against each other, like this kind of mirror scenario. So I'm excited. I'm curious to see who has the better control, who has the better execution. Here we go. We do have both armies clashing with each other. Adept is denied entry into the main base. Oh, Immortal is revealed. But we do snipe one of those entries. We get one. But again, the scout of the Immortal does confirm to Classic at least that it is going to be a robo opener into a one base all in. So Classic has the information he needs. Meanwhile, I believe NightMare didn't see the Prism yet. I don't think he's fully aware of what his opponent is up to, as Classic is going for a drop into the main. Oh, and the Prisms, they do fly by each other, and they do see each other. They have scouted. Bit of a Spider-Man meme moment where they both look at each other and point. We have Classic dipping into the main base with his Stalkers. Does go for the mineral line. Does get one. Oh, Oh, it does get two. For Stalker though, rough trade for Classic. At the same time, we do have the Prism dipping into the main, but Classic is in position. He does swat it away. Classic also going for a Stargate follow-up. This is an oddity. This is crazy. I'm wondering if he wants to go Oracle and if he wants to try to backstab while the all-in is occurring. It's a bold move, but a viable one. Again, MaxFax does prioritize this quite often. No, he's going for a Phoenix. That makes more sense. In a battle between Immortal v Immortal, or like Immortal-based armies, in a battle where neither player has Blink, Phoenixes can do quite well. They can do quite well when it comes to just crowd controlling, lifting up, of course, key units and shutting down the War Prism as well. God, as we are just amassing nothing but Adepts here from NightMare. Just pure Adept. He's up to how many at this point? But nothing shoots up. Actually, nothing shoots up. Adepts, they shade in though. They shade into the middle line. Probes are going down. At the same time, the Adepts also get into the main base of NightMare. Workers falling for both players. Meanwhile, the Phoenix going ham here. Almost gets a kill in that Prism. As NightMare does pull back. That Prism getting very low. And it's going to go down. Oh, it's one shot away. Does fall to the Phoenixes. Prism does get shut down. NightMare shading into the main. Trying to force his way in. Prism still alive across the map for Classic. And the Adepts say do shade. They get straight for the mineral line and they're gonna get a couple of probes, I imagine. By a couple I mean one, if that. Clean defense here from Classic. Shuts down most of those Adepts. Meanwhile, the Immortals are going ham on the wall. Takes down the gateway. Classic focusing across the map instead. It does get a couple of extra workers. Ooh, I see a couple, but it's going to be 4, soon to be 5 dead probes. Both players down to 18. Both players hurting here economically. This is becoming a little bit messy, not going to lie. We're getting messy, Bobby. We're getting rowdy. Adepts do shade in. They focus on another 4 probes. Oh my god. And Classic, his economy is getting worse and worse here. It's down to 15. Down to 15 workers. Big force fields here. We catch an Immortal. Very nicely done by NightMare. Prism tries to come back in, but we are in position. We were in position. Warpin is coming across the map. Classic, he's holding for now. Gets away with a handful of Zealots. Boys are being pulled. We can maybe get a couple of probe kills, but not too many. Yeah, 1 worker goes down. And now we're in a really interesting game state here, where NightMare, he has been building up a stronger army. He's been trading more efficiently as well. You can see here in the Unisource tab. He did kill the Immortal, did kill a lot of Stalkers. NightMare now up heavily here in army supply. Is up heavily. Classic investing into tech, has to rebuild his Cybercore, can't really spend his money. Can only warp in Zealots. That's why we had Zealots across the map. And Classic, he is in some trouble right now. Trying to get his production back up and running, his tech back up and running. Yeah, and GG gets called. We have an overwhelming army, and NightMare, he does it. Both players went for the same 1 base all in, and NightMare, he's the one that comes out on top and does put a point on the board. GG. Let's go. GG, well played. NightMare achieving so much more with his Adepts, and more importantly, able to pick apart the army of his opponent of Classic. So I'm just setting up the lobby. Was able to pick him apart in the end. On top of that, the investment into the Stargate was a pretty big one, if you remember. Oh. Was a pretty big one. I mean, he did kill the War Prism with those Phoenixes, but not much else. He didn't really gain any other value from that. So yeah, it wasn't again the best investment from him. It was an interesting way to deal with the problem at hand. Very interesting, but alas, did not quite pay off in the end. And with that, we're now getting into our next game. We're getting into Oceanborn. But I'm just glad to see that NightMare, he is fighting back here. He is able to claw his way back in, at least somewhat. One more though. He needs one more to tie things up. Otherwise, Classic may extend his lead and get onto match point. And here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the red Protoss player representing Twisted Minds, still leading the series 2-1. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player, currently teamless, but he puts a point on the board, known for his PvP prowess. I'm here for it. I'm ready for it. The Korean Protoss. It is NightMare. If they both all in, is it an all in? True. No one's all in. Aye. Now, I'll be honest, I don't expect that to be the last time we see that build. Again, that 3 gates Robo 1 base all in, very trendy in PvP in Korea, and I expect to see it at least one more time in this series, at least one more time. Not saying it will happen this game, but I'm sure it will happen at some point. As we are getting into our probe scouts. It's an everybody in. Oh no. Everybody, get in, Bobby, get in. Jesus. Let's go. So now we're getting into our 2-gate openers. 2-gate opener from a Classic, 2-gate opener out of NightMare, as to be expected. We're just waiting for our... Wait, my apologies. I assumed that was the second gateway. It's going to be a gate expand from Classic. Okay, bold move here. Bold move from Classic. He did recently do this against, I want to say, Estrella. We casted Estrella versus Classic in KSL a couple of days ago. And Classic did go for this same opener. It's really risky, though. The reason why, as you can imagine, unlike Side Delta, the natural base is more exposed. The natural is more exposed, so going for a faster expansion like this is a risky thing to do as a Protoss player. Now, Classic did open up double gas, so he's going for a Stargate first. So it's going to be Gate, Cybercore into the Stargate into a Nexus. So again, a pretty economic opener. Meanwhile, NightMare, do you see what I see? I see a Robo. Why do we see a Robo? Because we're going to see a third gateway, and it's going to be the same build 2 games in a row. NightMare, he's going to be going for a 1 base all in. His goal to punish the greed of Classic. Let's go. I expected this build again in this series. I wasn't expecting it so soon, but it makes sense. It makes sense because of what's happening. There's that third gateway that we spoke about, and there's that expansion that we spoke about as well. Again, Classic being really greedy. NightMare, his goal is to punish the greed of Classic. Here we go. Alright, still casting, but Academy starts in 2 days. Don't miss your flight. I'm already here. I'm already. This is why to make things clear. The reason why I don't have a cam is because I'm not at home. That's why I don't have a webcam right now. So basically, if you go through the VODs, you can see the moment that I'm not using a webcam. That's when I got here. That's when I got here. As Classic is going to be going for a Void Ray first. I say Void Ray first. A Void Ray second after the initial Oracle. Oracle gets across the map, but we have a shield battery up and running. So the Oracle does no damage whatsoever here in the main base. And NightMare, he is pushing. He is committed. Classic, of course, he scouts the all-in. Classic is aware of what's going on. And NightMare, can he break his opponent? Can he break through the defenses of Classic? We have 1 shield battery. Second shield battery is on the way. Void Ray has arrived. Overcharge is available. And we have 4 Stalkers. There it is, 3rd shield battery on the way. Show the pierogi. I haven't had any pierogi yet. I want some though, I want some. Pierogi, it's good. It's good. So here we go, we do have NightMare Dipping in towards the main base with that prism, trying to distract the main army here with his main force. Adepts, they do slip in. No, they slip in, and workers are under threat. Again, 3 adepts, more than enough to one-shot probes. 2 workers go down. We deny so much mining in the main base, and we focus them down as well. We get a 3rd probe here in the run-by. The army collapsing on this location. We're going to be able to focus down the shield batteries. We're going to try. We are going to try. So do pull back. Adepts once again shading back in. I like how they shaded in, walked out, then shaded back. Oh my god, as we get 8 probes in total. Classic, he is hurting economically, and NightMare, he takes an expansion. He does expand behind this. He knows he has done enough damage. NightMare, he's ahead so hard here. Ahead, 7 workers up, but a big stasis. Late reaction out of that NightMare. Very late reaction. We catch, what, 7 probes? Yeah, ironically, 7 probes do get caught in the stasis. NightMare, he's not done though. Nowhere near. Gets across the map with these 2 adepts. Goes for the mineral line. Goes for the natural. Oh, we'll get 1. We'll get 1 probe. Does deny mining in the main. Almost getting a 2nd. And again, NightMare is in a good position. Now, what I will say though, even though NightMare, he is up in probes and he's getting his expansion up and running, it's slowly being saturated. Army-wise, NightMare is behind. We have 3 Void Rays. This army from Classic is pretty crazy, and if we push out now, then NightMare could be in some trouble. Depending on how, of course, we use the Void Rays. A counterattack is possible. For the time being, we're just harassing with the Oracles, just dipping in. Looking for a way into these mineral lines. Does throw down a Revelation. And Classic is chilling back home. So a much more mature decision out of Classic. He throws down a Robo and doesn't move out with a probe. Okay, he's pushing. He is going to be pushing. I assumed that he was going to try and take a 3rd base behind this, but no, he is teching up Robo and a Twilight Council on the way. Okay, pretty tech heavy here out of Classic. Speaking of a 3rd base, does deny the 3rd of NightMare. Which is why I was assuming that we'd be seeing the 3rd base from our red player as well. Void Rays, they do dive into the main base. They do focus on one of those Stalkers. They get 1, they get 2. They get 2 Stalkers, they get a 3rd Stalker as well. Again, they just power their way through the overcharge. Was not enough to keep anything alive. That's the DPS here of 3 Void Rays. Additional Stalkers have arrived and we will respect them. We do back up. Do back off, but that was a good trade nonetheless from Classic. He does kill 4 probes and 3 Stalkers. And now we should finally be expanding. Should. As the 3rd base is back on track for NightMare. There it is, 3rd. Comparable timing here for Classic. Very comparable. I mean, such a sly cat with his depths. He's smooth. He's smooth, but beautiful. But the game is going to be settling from here. Again, NightMare, his 3rd base was delayed, so he's not as ahead as he otherwise could have been. He has had a much more comfortable game, economically at least. But the main armies are differing quite a bit. We have Classic, who's building up towards Immortal Void Ray. He's got Immortals from the Robos. He's got the Void Rays from the early game. He also has Blink on the horizon here for eventually +1. Meanwhile, NightMare is focusing on a Stalker or a Gateway heavy composition. No Immortals, no Void Rays, just Mass Blink Stalker and a couple of Sentries for Force Fields. Ooh, as he does take a massive stasis to the face. Does take a stasis to the face, and with that, NightMare has to back off, and oh, he may end up losing some Stalkers. Yeah, Classic, he collapses on this. He picks up 1, 2 Stalkers in the center of the map. We'll catch another, and soon to be another as well. Oof. We do attempt to blink away. We barely will. Meanwhile, I was concerned that NightMare was going to be committing to pure Blink Stalker, and he is not. We are working towards a Robotics Bay. We're working towards Disruptors. So Stalker Disruptor, very efficient army composition, but can we get there at the same time? We do pick up a couple of Stalkers. Yeah, the Void Rays are going ham. Finally, one of them goes down. The Classic, he dives on the army. That's a crazy dive, to be honest, but he's achieving so much with those voids. As a trade, it does go in favor. Actually, pretty interesting trade here. Pretty even trade. Classic, he did end up losing 9 Stalkers and 1 Void Ray, but he was able to kill 10 Stalkers and 2 Sentries. So a pretty even trade overall. And both players are backing off, and we're getting into the mid game for the first time. For the first time this series, we are saturating on 3 bases, and we're working towards a 4th base. Both players are. Let's go. We have more of a back and forth. We can sink our teeth into more of a macro game. I don't think our players want a macro game, but that's what they're getting. We're working towards a 4th. From Classic, NightMare still stuck on 3 bases. Still opting not to expand, not yet. Observer gets eyes on the army, does see the prism. He's going to be getting ready. And how many disruptors do we have is the question. We've been working on disruptors for quite some time. We have 2 disruptors so far. We have a 3rd on the way. And this is how we do bounce back here. With 1 or 2 juicy connections, we can take a fight. Now, the scary thing is that Immortals actually can't blink, of course. They can be juggled by the Prism, but that's really the only way to avoid those Purification Novas. Immortals are quite slow. They should be the targets for NightMare. +2 is on the way. We have the 2nd Robo coming out here for NightMare as well for double Disruptor production. And a big shout out in the chat to Lord Lordington. Hello, Lord. Hello. Are you related to Terran Lord? Welcome. Thank you so much for subscribing with the tier 1 sub. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoy the cast. Hope you enjoy the content. Hope you enjoy the stream and your new emotes as well. Gracias, papi, gracias. As we are continuing on here with our game, with game number 3. And here we go. Classic. He reinforces with Mazel. We are supply blocked, by the way. NightMare is heavily supply blocked, but he has disruptors. He has the Novas available. First one does zone back the army. Doesn't quite connect. He gets a Prism. Prism is sniped. We blink on forward. Nova will connect. Massive connections here with the Stalkers. The Stalkers and the Zealots. Good connections from NightMare. Is it going to be enough, though? He's being forced further and further back. The Immortals are doing so much damage for Classic. But we dive on top of them. 1 Void Ray goes down. A 2nd Void Ray soon to be focused on, as well as we're getting the Immortals instead. Rough trades for NightMare, but I think he barely can hold on. Can he get the final Immortal? It's going to be close. As the Immortal barely does survive. Overall, the Disruptors, they did amazingly here for NightMare. Classic, a little bit, yeah, again, he smelled blood in the water and he just pulled the trigger. Did feel like he did overextend. He took so many Novas to the face. If it wouldn't have been for that, I do think the Classic could have ended the game there, but again, just a rough fight overall. But we are not stopping. We rebuild that Prism. We're reinforcing. This time we're going to be pushing without any Void Rays and only with 1 Immortal, though. That's the difference. We are stuck on basically a pure Gateway army. And I would give the edge to Classic if it wasn't for those Disruptors. We are a bit trigger happy, though. We sent out all 3. Ooh, that's, yeah, a little bit brutal. NightMare, he's still stuck on 3 bases. Meanwhile, Classic is getting further and further ahead. He's happily mining on 4. He's working on a 5th base. Again, just starving NightMare out. He rotates around. Again, his goal, his win condition, deny the base. Deny the 4th as long as we can. And the longer we do, the more difficult it is for NightMare to recover. Or does he want to be cheeky? Ooh, Nova's going to be going off. Some okay connections. We graze the army. Another Nova does turn back some of those Stalkers, but we collapse on top of the army of NightMare. As Zelce do dive in, the Prism is going to be sniped once again. Prism does go down. So do the Zealots, and now Classic getting focused on his Blink Micro, on his Blink Control. At the same time, the base is taking a lot of damage. The third base is taking a lot of hits. But that is DPS not being spent on the army. Up and over! Oh my god. Massive connections. NightMare, he trades better against the army, but the base went down. The base did fall. And we're going all in. we have to. I mean, NightMare, he's down to 2 bases. He's down to these 2 final bases here. NightMare, we got to commit. There's no turning back. It's all or nothing. But the longer this goes on, the better it is for Classic. The more secure he is. NightMare pushes forward. Novas once again just zone back the army. Classic is getting a 7th. Wait, sorry, a 6th base. Wait, what? we can't even. We're not even fully stacked. That we are. Never mind. We are 83 probes. Jesus. All right, fair enough. 6th base it is. Meanwhile, NightMare just now saturating his own 4th. Just now getting it up and running. Stalker's going to be clashing. Classic going to be doubling down here on a Dark Shrine, actually. Okay. Get a really interesting way to take advantage of the situation. Goes for a big Zealot Warpin into the main. Do we have a recall? We may, but we get the Robo. We get into the main. We get on top of the tech. And the Zealots are just going ham. Archons will eventually clean this up, but we're getting 15 probe kill. Oh my god! The Zealots, the army pushes on 4 Zealots. They get into the middle line as well, and NightMare is being pulled apart. We have damage being done in almost every single base. Everything is on fire. And NightMare, he doesn't know how far behind he is. He hasn't seen these northern bases. He hasn't seen the next side. He doesn't know. 37 probes go down as the Zealots in the main base. They just go to town, and they're not done. There's more probes down. GG gets called, and Classic takes a 3-1 lead in this series. He is 1 game away from taking this show match. GG. GG, well played. Again, we had a bit of a back and forth here, definitely, but alas, Classic did get a bit too out of hand. Hold on. Oh, as I'm setting up for our next game. Setting up for our next map. It was great to see NightMare achieving quite a bit with his Adept Harass. Remember, like, NightMare, he took an economic lead. He was able to kill a lot of probes. That did happen. That did occur. But Classic survived the would-be all-in. Did survive, did make it out on top. And he was able to recover. Able to recover with his Immortal production, with his, of course, Oracle Harass. Faster 3rd, faster 4th, faster 5th, faster 6th. Like, Classic, he gained map control. He was so greedy with that map control as well. Just non-stop expanding here. And was doing a great job at containing NightMare. Just... Again, remember, his win condition was just to contain, deny the 4th for as long as we could. And here we go. Spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Solaris, we have our blue Protoss player, the Korean Protoss, on match point. Unomas, 1 more game is all he needs. Is all he does need. It is Classic. Okay, we're good. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the red Protoss. The South Korean Protoss player having a bit of a rough time this series here. He needs to fight back here and now. 1 more loss, 1 more mistake, and it's over. It is NightMare. Here we go. Again, NightMare, he was achieving some damage. He was killing probes. That is true. He got ahead. He did get ahead. but he wasn't able to maintain that lead. Classic was able to bounce back, was able to recover, do more than just recover, was able to take advantage of a NightMare. And how will Classic approach game number 5? Again, it's going to be a 2-gate opener from Classic, 2-gate opener out of NightMare. Probe is moving out. My eyes are definitely on this worker for Classic. Do we hide the second pylon? I think we do. I think we do hide the pylon. Do we commit to a proxy? If we throw down the pylon behind these rocks, then, as we are throwing it down, this isn't a bad location for a proxy Stargate for Oracle production, but we'll see. I believe I have seen Protoss players go for proxy Robo here. I have seen that before. Will we see it here? Yet to be determined. For now, but the pylon has been thrown down elsewhere. NightMare, he's aware that the pylon is missing. He's aware that something is wrong. Classic didn't even probe scout. Oh my god. The greed! Classic didn't even probe scout, and we're going for a Robo opener. Unfortunately for NightMare, Classic is going for a Stargate, as we did mention. So it's a proxy Stargate. This is not an all-in from Classic, by the way. Classic, proxy Stargate into an expansion. It's an economic opener. I say economic. It's a macro opener. The goal here is to, yes, delay our own expansion, but we do get the Oracle to harass across the map to kill probes, while we do expand behind it. Meanwhile, NightMare, he's setting up for a 1-base all-in. This Robo looks like a safety Robo, but a safety Robo can turn into an aggressive one very easily, and there it is, 3rd gateway. 3rd gateway is thrown down. Adepts, they do skirmish in the center of the map. NightMare will be losing his. Be losing one of his adepts. Classic shading towards the main, trying to get a read on what's going on. Oracle is on the way. Classic, before expanding, he throws down a Robo first, which means he's aware of the danger he's in. He's aware of the potential of his opponent. Oh, as the adepts, we missed the shade. We missed it, and Classic gets into the main base. Adepts taking one-shot probes. 2 adepts, they do one-shot 2 of those workers. And we will get a full scout as well. We get eyes on the Robo, on the 3rd gateway. We're fully aware of what's going on. It's going to be that same 1-base all-in. And Classic, back at home, he's preparing. He throws down a 3rd gateway of his own to keep up with the production of NightMare. Is looking to keep up that production. Prism does get across the map. We're going to be going for a Phoenix. Bold move here from Classic. We'll see if it pays off. Phoenix can shut down the Prism. They can shut it down here. As NightMare, he threatens to dive into the main. The Phoenix does arrive. No, shall we force a recall? Do force a recall. NightMare forced back home. And Mortals are still amassing. And both players, they back up, they expand. Both Classic and NightMare, they throw down their bases at the same time. The aggression has subsided. NightMare knows he cannot pull anything off. And we're just going to calm things down. Whew. And Classic confirms. He moves out with his Phoenix, does confirm the expansion, which means Classic is aware that he's safe at home. He is going to be safe back at home. The question becomes, oh my god, where do we go from here? Classic going for an insanely fast Disruptor. This is not normal. This is not the norm here to rush into Robotics Bay. There's a world, if we were casting Skillus, if we were casting maybe Astrea, I would assume, oh my god, I would assume Colossus, potentially, but if it's anyone else, Disruptors are what makes sense. Looking at the vision of NightMare, he does see big scout here for NightMare, does confirm that Bay, he's aware of the Disruptors. He is aware. He's going to be threatening that mineral line. Does get shut down though, but again, he at least scouted. That's what's important. And how will NightMare respond? Stargate. Okay, so the Stargate response is a unique one. It's a little bit more niche. It can work quite well though. So the way this works is that the Phoenixes, they lift up the disruptors. Once a disruptor gets lifted, their Nova is cancelled. So you can lift up all the disruptors, you can cancel the Novas, and then you can break through with your ground-based army. As behind this, we are going to be harassing with our Oracle. We get a read on things, get a revelation off. Nothing too crazy from Classic. Meanwhile, he knows he got scouted. That's what's important. And has Classic seen the Stargate? He has. Big moment here. The Oracle did confirm the Stargate follow-up from NightMare. Phoenixes are on the way. And Classic, he can head in a couple of different directions here. He does have 2 disruptors. He does have Warp Prison Speed. But he has to be very careful with his movements. Doesn't want to lose this for nothing. For free. As the prisms, they do actually walk by each other. A bit of an awkward moment. Phoenix on the hunt. Disruptors coming in. We're going for the Novas. We're going for the Immortals. Ooh, one connects, the other doesn't. Just barely. Decent connection there from Classic, but he only kills 2 sentries and a Stalker. Stasis into the main. Classic backs up. Phoenix have been revealed. And Classic will transition from here into Colossus. Oh my god. Astray, is that you? Oh my god, Pappy. Colossus production here in a PvP. This is a rare sight. Don't see this too often. Now, Colossi, they can do okay. Skillus used to be in love with Colossus in PvP, where this would be like an alternate way to deal with Zealots. It'd be like an alternate path into like Archon. Instead of Archon production, he would go into mass Colossus, and he'd have mixed success with it. Would have mixed success. Alas, won't be able to really have as much dominance here with that Colossus, but we'll see. We'll see what he can achieve with it and how it does incorporate into his army. Disruptor drop into the main is forced back. As the game is going to settle from here. We have additional Colossus. We have Extenthomal Lance as well. Oh my god, Bappy. You're crazy. You are crazy here as we are moving out. Okay, looking at the army compositions is what's important. We have 4 Immortals. We have 4 Immortals with the main army. We have 12 Stalkers. We have 2 Phoenixes. Now, these Phoenixes have a job to do. Their job is to lift up that Disruptor. There's 1 Disruptor with the main army. If it gets lifted, it will be rendered inert. Can NightMare pull this off? He is up 10 army supply. Meanwhile, Classic is ahead in workers. As Nova goes up, big hit. Oh my god! Massive connection on the Immortals. The shields are stripped. Shield battery isn't done. No, we have an overcharge. We barely have the overcharge. The Colossi being focused down by the Immortals one after the other, and it looks like NightMare barely may have too much. Boys are being pulled. Good control here from Classic. Colossus comes out just in time. Oh my god. The power of the Colossus in PvP. Classic, he holds. He's holding. He forces back the army. He can afford to lose some workers. Prism is being forced back. We have Blink. We focus it down as well. Classic, he shuts down the entire army. That was designed to kill. That was meant to end the game. And maybe it has, but not the way we wanted it to. Extenthomal Lance just finished. GG gets called. Classic. He gets away with the Disruptors. He gets away with the Colossi just barely. He holds. He survives. GG gets called, and Classic will take the series 4-1. GG. Oh, my keyboard disconnected. GG, well played. So to wind it back to that fight as well, like NightMare, he was doing a great job at target firing. I don't know if you saw, but he had a mass amount. He had those 4 immortals. He was focusing down every single Colossus immediately, and he chunked away at them. It was crazy. The immortals, sorry, the Colossus, they died so fast, so quickly. But that reinforcing Colossus came just towards the end. We had the overcharge putting in a lot of work, keeping the army alive as well. And Classic, he barely held on there. It all started with that Nova as well. It was a juicy connection on 3 immortals, stripping away all their shields, dealing whole damage as well. And with that, GG. GG, well played. Classic will take it in the end. It was a very chaotic series. It was a best of 7, but it ended in an hour. It was a very fast best of 7. A lot of one-base all-ins, a lot of aggression, as we expect to see in Korean PvP. And NightMare did kind of struggle a little bit here. There were multiple times where it did feel like NightMare was playing a little bit off. There were multiple times where NightMare would miss and the depth shade, he would miss a pylon and Classic would get in, he would get extra damage done, he would take a lead economically. Did happen a couple of times in this series, and yeah, NightMare was just one step behind that of Classic at multiple stages. The Oceanborn game was brutal. Oceanborn, I feel like, should have been NightMare's game. If you remember, on Oceanborn, that was the game where Classic opened up economically. He went for a gate expand, and he went for a gate expand variation, and NightMare went for a 1-base all-in to punish him, and he got ahead, but he didn't kill Classic. That was the problem. He wasn't able to kill Classic. Classic somehow came back. Like, part of me wants to like rewatch Oceanborn, because it was crazy what Classic was able to accomplish despite falling behind. He was down like 10 probes, like, which is a pretty big deal in a mirror matchup. Like, Classic, he was down, but clearly he was not out, and he clawed his way back into Oceanborn. Really impressive stuff. GG. GG, well played. And with that, we are gonna be done here for the night. Again, it was only a single series, only a single best of 7, and again, because it was a PvP, it was a little bit faster than normal, but it was a fun PvP nonetheless, and I hope everyone in the chat did enjoy themselves. Any tips on how a low MMR player can get into fun tourneys for their skill level? I see tournaments in-game, but they're very weird. Often as a bronze player, I get forced to play against diamond players. So in-game tournaments aren't very good. The reason for that is because they aren't very popular. So the issue that you're running into, I think everyone runs into this, is that because they're not very popular, because there aren't that many active people participating in the online, in the in-game tournament system, the automated tournaments, it reaches out to fill the bracket, and you get like gold players and then diamond players as well, right? Like, you get a really wide range of skill, a really wide range of MMR. So the in-game automated tournaments, they're not that great, unfortunately. But as 16 Swords Senseki Kuro is posting in the chat, there are some amateur events out there. There aren't too many, but there are a handful of amateur events out there that are limited by MMR. So there are, for example, there's the Magic Cup Masters Cup. That is a tournament run by a couple of friends of the channel, and their event is limited to 4.3k. I want to say it's like a Masters 3. It's like at most like Masters 3 level to compete in that event. I know that might not be what you're looking for as a bronze player, but there are other, if you go digging, you may be able to come across some other amateur tournaments as well. Some other community run events. We used to host our own bronze to diamond tournaments. We used to host them. Unfortunately, we haven't had them for quite some time. I think we put them on hiatus in 2021. I want to say 2021, maybe 2022. But we do have plans. We have plans on potentially bringing it back. But we've just been busy with IEM. Oh, sorry, we've been busy, with the new year and with all of our events, with Master Colosseum. And we may bring them back post IEM Katowice. Well, keep an eye out. Keep an eye out. Keep an eye out. But with that, thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you all had a great time. Again, this is a weekly show match series. Oh, I have to pay out the predictions. Where are we? Manage predictions. Okay. But this is a weekly show match series. We have partnered with Club NV, and again, we do host show matches every single week at this time on this hour. Every single week, so keep an eye out for that. Likewise, you can support us on Patreon, !Patreon in the chat, and you can help fund our tournaments. Our tournaments have been on a hiatus for January, but they will be coming back after IEM. Once IEM Katowice wraps up, then we will be returning with our events. So again, don't fret, it's all coming back. There have been some pro gamers that have messaged me. They're like, yo, is like Sparkling Tunic Up dead? Is like GPO dead? Like, what's happening? Where are our tournaments? It's okay, it's okay. It's coming back. Don't worry. It's all coming back. So yeah, a lot to look forward to. Again, Patreon if you're interested. Otherwise, a big shout out to Club NV. Club NV, they it's because of them that we're able to host this event as well. So a big shout out to the Korean team. Much love. Unfortunately, they don't have any social medias, so it's hard to follow them, but much love nonetheless to Club NV. You can follow us on also Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord. And on top of all of that, enjoy the week. Enjoy your week, because in 2 days we have IEM. IEM Katowice is in just 2 days. I'm going to be there in person. I'm going to be a part of the audience. I'm not going to be casting. Unfortunately, I won't be a caster, but I'm going to be there as a part of the audience, as a part of the crowd. Going to be taking in the atmosphere and hopefully having a good time. I know the games are going to be amazing. It's a little bit daunting. I don't really know anyone that's going to be there. I reached out, and a lot of the European players and community members that I'm familiar with aren't going to be there, so I'm going to be exploring on my own. But you know, if you're out there and if you're going to be at the events, then reach out. Maybe we can hang out. We can meet up. We can, you know, enjoy StarCraft together. We can enjoy it. Otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in. Another big announcement is the fact that we are going to be going on a break. Because IEM Katowice is starting in 2 days, and it's going to be ending on Sunday, we won't be casting. We won't be casting for the entire week. I believe there isn't any KSL this weekend. ESL Asia and all the ESL Open Cups, they come back on Monday. So our schedule is actually clear for the duration of IEM. So for the first time in a long time, we can take a break. We can finally, for the first time, wait, when was the last time, I'm looking at the calendar, when was the last time we took a day off from casting? My last day off was the day that last week when we casted IEM. Sorry, when we casted the show match, but the channel was still live. Okay, 31st. The 31st of January was our last day off. Before that, when did we have a day off? Before that, it was like December 1st. December 24th, that's it. New Year's Eve? Christmas Eve, that's it. Christmas Eve. That was our last day off. But yeah, we're going to be going on a break to enjoy IEM Katowice, to indulge in it and all that good stuff. So make sure you're a part of that. And then when IEM Katowice wraps up, then we're going to go back to our regular broadcasting schedule, and we'll be returning with our events. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for the support. Stick around. We're going to be giving another StarCraft streamer a raid. Who do we raid? We've been raiding Forjumi a lot. We've been raiding a lot of Forjumi. He is live at the moment. He is live. But because we just raided Forjumi yesterday, we'll raid someone else. Who do we got? There's Mr. Sadsak. Senor Sadsak. I could raid him. Just double checking. Nice just went live. Let's go. Nice just went live. We'll give it to Sadsak. Good friend of the channel, and a lovely subscriber as well. So stick around, give him a chance, give him some love, give him some support, and we'll see you guys next week after IEM Katowice. Enjoy. Take care, everyone. Take care of yourselves, and have a great week of StarCraft. We'll see you then. Until then, hasta luego. Bye. Ciao, papi. Ciao. Hasta luego. Gah.